gathering. Imagine needing a medical care but being unable to reach a doctor or a hospital. This is a daily reality for many living in rural areas. Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Alveena, a curious student from class metric, and today I want to share my thoughts on the topic. I want to take you on a journey to the heart of our country, where the air is fresh, the people are friendly, and the healthcare, well, that's a different story. Imagine living in a place where healthcare is a luxury, not a right, where distance and isolation can be a matter of life and death. Welcome to rural areas where the struggle for healthcare is real. But what exactly are rural areas? How do they differ from the bustling cities we know? Let's uncover the truth. Rural areas are the regions outside the cities with less population density, limited access to services like healthcare and education, agriculture-based economy, and breathtaking landscapes. While urban areas, on the other hand, are densely populated, economic hubs, better access to healthcare and education, and fast-paced, diverse communities. Now, what happens when this healthcare is scarce, means rare or uncommon? When the doctors are few and far between? What if the closest hospital was hours away and every second counted? For rural communities, this isn't just a what if, it is a daily reality where access to healthcare can be the difference between life and death. But before we move further, I want you to have a quick peek at the outline at the journey we'll go on together during this presentation. When we think about healthcare, we often picture an image of a modern hospitals and easy access to doctors, right? But for many in rural areas, this is far from the truth. Rural healthcare is a complex issue that affects millions of people worldwide. Many people living in rural areas have trouble getting basic health services. Historically, rural communities face lack of healthcare because of their geographic and economic challenges. This situation is not new, but it has worsened over the years. Lack of roads, electricity, and medical supplies, they all continue to limit the access to care. The lack of healthcare in rural areas isn't just a logistical problem, but it is a matter of life and death. According to research statistics, 60% of world's population lives in rural areas and 35% of rural healthcare lack basic amenities. The main issues are clear. People living in rural areas have trouble getting basic health services, limited access to specialized healthcare, shortage of healthcare workers, poor infrastructure like roads and electricity, and financial barriers that keep them from seeking care. Research shows that people living in rural areas often get less healthcare and the results are serious. Studies show that people living in rural areas often have higher rates of chronic diseases like diabetes and hypertension because they don't get preventive care. This leads to worse health outcomes and higher death rates. Another issue is the shortage of healthcare workers in these areas. The gaps in rural healthcare has serious consequences. Lives are lost, diseases are untreated, communities suffer, and even spreading of infectious disease is very common. We must take action to prevent further more consequences like this. Ladies and gentlemen, to ground our more understanding, I have collected 3 real-life incidents that actually happened here in Pakistan because of this lack of healthcare in rural areas. First case is of Ms. Shazia Nawaz, who was a 25-year-old mother from rural Punjab. Because of delayed diagnosis and treatment, she wasn't able to give birth on time. Her life was at stake, but thankfully she survived. But still, it could have gotten worse, right? Second case is of Muhammad Ali, who was a 40-year-old from Karachi. His problem was diabetic-related complications. Because of financial barriers, he couldn't afford the fees of his medicine and treatment, and he couldn't treat himself. Third case is of Aisha Bibi, who was a 30-year-old. Also, she was a mother too. And because of the same delayed diagnosis, treatment and transportation barriers, at the time of giving birth, she died. Maternal mortality. Ladies and gentlemen, while looking at these real-life cases, we can get to know that how much rural areas are lacking healthcare. We must take action to prevent any further consequences. Now, what should we do? How can we help them? It's time for solutions, not excuses. What can we do to transform rural healthcare? But there's hope. There are many innovative solutions which we can do to help solve the rural healthcare. Let's read them. Telemedicine and remote healthcare services. Second is community health worker programs. Next is rural healthcare workforce development. And the last but not the least, partnerships and collaborations. These are the possible solutions which I have researched about. Now let's discuss them in detail. First is telemedicine and remote healthcare services. Telemedicine is a game changer. It allows people to consult with specialists remotely, which saves time and money. It's like having a specialist in your pocket. In this process, a village medic is given a tablet and all the informations are installed in it, and he is trained well to consult with an urban doctor over the internet. So the process went like this. A patient would come in, 15 minutes walk away to the nearest pharmacy. She would come in, she would explain her complications and everything, the problem she has. The village medic will be trained well to capture all that information on the tablet. He will gather all the vitals, blood pressure, let's say, or any physical examinations. He will send this whole information to the urban doctor over the internet. The doctor will review this whole information. He will form a hypothesis, call back, have a video call with the patient, type down prescription and send it back within a few minutes. The village medic will review all this prescription and write it down on a paper and give it back to the patient. This whole process takes about 25 to 30 minutes maximum. As we are already on the topic of telemedicine, so I gathered some reviews of the village people on telemedicine camp which was set by InstaCare in one of the rural areas of Punjab. So I want you to have a look at it and see what things do they mention. Please play the video. Should I just continue?
मैंने ये इश्तिहार पढ़ा, उसके ये लिखा हुआ ये कैंप यहाँ लग रहा है, तो मैं भी इधर आया। आने के बाद मैंने डॉक्टर साहबान को चेक करवाया, जो मेरा मसला था वो मैंने उनको बताया। उन्होंने मुझे बहुत अच्छे तरीके से गाइड किया, बताया और मेडिसिन लिख कर दी। और मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि ये परमानेंट रेगुलर इधर लग जाए या कहीं रेंज का हो जाए तो बहुत बेहतर है। तो मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि ये कैंप जो है ना, ये इधर हॉस्पिटल की शक्ल में तब्दील हो जाए तो बहुत बेहतर है। मैं इसको बहुत पसंद करता हूँ क्योंकि ये महंगा नहीं है।
बहुत अच्छी बात होगी, अगर मेहरबानी होगी आपकी अगर ये काम हो जाए कि इसमें यहाँ पर अपना एक क्लिनिक खुल जाए जिसमें ये मतलब थोड़ी सी फीस से दवाई मिले। गरीब यहाँ गरीब तबका ज्यादा रहता है, कोई भी अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकता कि बाद में मेडिकल मतलब ज्यादा पैसों वाली दवाई खरीद सकते।
So as you saw that they both were very happy with the camps and by the InstaCare. But did you notice that they both mentioned the same things? That this camp was not expensive at all and that it should be converted into hospitals throughout the villages. You can see that how much they are in the need for proper health care. So why don't we help them? This was all about the first solution, which was telemedicine. Let's move forward towards the second solution, community health worker programs. Community health worker programs empower people to take control of their health. They give education, knowledge, support, and navigation about rural healthcare. It's like having a specialist in the corner, right? Next solution, rural healthcare workforce development. We need to create our own workforce to share. We need to guide them. We need to teach them local people to become healthcare professionals. It's like planting a garden that will bloom for years to come. Last but not the least, partnerships and collaborations. Partnerships and collaborations are key to success. We need to work together to share resources, expertise, and knowledge in rural areas. It's like building a puzzle that requires many pieces to fit in perfectly. These were the solutions which I recommended from my side, which my research work showed that. Now, before ending my presentation, I have one inspiring story. Yes, an inspiring story for the doctors around the world. I want you to listen it properly and see that the message which he carries at the end. So this guy named Palash over here, he studied literature to become teacher in one of the primary schools. But on his father's deathbed, his father wished that he could continue his legacy. So he did. And today Palash almost knows thousands of patients by name. As the patient would pour in his pharmacy from morning to dusk, he pours them tea, he chats with them about his loved ones, and he even fixes a rickshaw for his elderly patient. He was so much part of the community that no any program or function happened without him. But few years back, in his village, there was a flood that destroyed all the crops and people's life were at stake. So what Palash did was, he started giving away his thousands of dollars worth medicine for free or on credit. When people asked him why he did that, he said, if my people don't live, what use would they have of having a doctor? This message which he shared at the end was very inspiring, and I really want that this message should be conveyed to all of the doctors around the world. In conclusion, while rural areas face lack of healthcare, but they are not unsolvable. With proper policies, guidelines, and solutions, we can help bridge the gap between rural and urban healthcare. This whole information which I shared today was based on solid research and expert insights. Here are the key sources which I used during this presentation. You can have a look. Thank you for your undivided attention throughout this presentation. It was my immense pleasure to share my knowledge, my research with you. As we conclude, I want to repeat that, remember, every life matters. Every community deserves quality care, and together we can make a difference. I welcome your comments and criticism.